All right, it's 30 seconds after I recorded that previous video. Let's keep going with this story, which is from what we know, at least, of book 6 of the Iliad. Here we go. This strap always flies off of these headphones. I shouldn't be putting this airplane sleep mask over the headphones, but it's more convenient than putting it underneath. All right, here we go. Sing, goddess, of that fateful meeting between two foes who became somehow fast friends on the battlefield. Who was it that met on the field between the clashing of arms and the spraying of blood and entrails, all those shouts of men who were fast flying into the dust and into the arms of dread Thanatos and that horseman Hades? It was of thirsty Argos, Diomedes, the son of Tydeus, who had met on that very plain, in the midst of his Aristeia, his moment of greatest glory. He met with that bright-eyed Glaucus, who had come with the contingent of Lycia under his liege lord Sarpedon. Glaucus it was who came forth in his shining armor, that brilliant bronze and gold. And he was spotted immediately. The glimmer and the splendor of that brilliant armor was spotted by Diomedes from across the battlefield. Diomedes shaded his eyes, and he said, casting forth that great war-shouting voice, he, Lord of the war cry, said, "Who is it that comes forth to fight with me? I think many know from my lineage and from my deeds on the field this day. But who are you? If you be another one of the gods, I think I shall fight you not, as I have only just wounded 2 of the great Olympians, and I do not know that I will be granted luck to fight against a 3rd and come forth victorious, or at least still breathing and eating that bread of Demeter which is brought forth on each harvest day." Thus answered him that brilliant Glaucus, "I it is who come forth not a god, but a man. Of Lycia land I am, and if you ask for my lineage and of my parentage, I will tell it to you. I come from that great line of Bellerophon, who had gone through so many different struggles, having been tricked under the foster parentage of one father and of his foster mother, who wanted to lay with him. But as he refused, she spoke to his foster father, telling him an ultimatum, that cunning Bellerophon had tried to make an advance on her, and that he must be killed. And so, not wanting to do such a thing and dishonor that lord of guest friends and lord of fosterage, Zeus, not wanting to dishonor that law of Xenia, he sent Bellerophon forth to another kingdom with a waxen tablet full of evil signs scrawled upon it. And that other king, not opening the tablet, seeing Bellerophon, knowing his noble lineage, born from that great lord of lightning of the thundercloud, he said to him, "Well, this is a great thing. We shall feast for days and days." And so a 10-day feast occurred, at the end of which that king opened the tablet and frowned. He sent Bellerophon after that greatest of beasts, the Chimera, and going forth, after having killed such a thing, sent him on other trials besides, finally sending 50 men of his own city covertly to ambush Bellerophon on his way back. But that great man had slain them all. And thus the king knew him to truly be born of a god, and feasted him even more, and offered up his daughter in marriage with no bride price attached. Such was the reverence he paid. And moving from that great God-given line came many. Another Glaucus there was, and under him Sarpedon was one of his sons, my liege lord, from Lycia land as well. And from him came many until my father and myself. Glaucus I am. And now that you know my lineage, do tell me of yours, as I think I know you already. But are you who you claim to be? Thus did Diomedes jump for joy at hearing this. You are of that line. Well, then we are guest friends of our grandfather's time. For your grandfather had hosted my father Tydeus in his halls. They had exchanged guest gifts. Diomedes I am. I claim to be son of that lord Tydeus, of great courage and great strength, who had sieged and fallen under those 7 gates of Thebes, and who had done many a brave deed besides in his time. I was too young to know my father Diomedes, to know my father Tydeus, and I was too young to know your grandfather or father, but we still have the guest gift that was given by him in our halls. It hangs in a place of honor. I left it there, a great shield, which was given by your grandfather. I should have taken it, but I did not want to stain it with the blood and dust of the battlefield. Thus will you be welcome any time you join us in Argos. Despite being an enemy on the battlefield, you are a friend to me. There are many enemies, and we need not fight each other. Yea, I should hope that the same treatment would be given me if I were to join you in the halls of Lycia land, that I would also be an honored guest friend. Yea, let us seek out other foes, and not fight against one another, tearing the flesh from each other's backs and fronts. You seek out other Achaeans, I will seek out other Trojans. There are many for both of us to kill. Yea, let us exchange gifts of our own, so that we may say that we are no lesser men than our fathers or grandfathers, and that there be no less friendship between us. A battlefield be something of men and of arbitrary decisions. If other politics and other actions were to happen, we may have been friends in some other time. Let us not allow this to come between us. And thus, in the middle of the fighting, circled by their men who created a line around them, and who fought on the fringes of that line with others who aimed to come inward, these 2 men, in an oasis among a dance of death and slaughter and sprayed blood and chariot wheels rolling over corpses, this oasis had only friendship. Glaucus agreed to all that was said, and they exchanged their armor, so that they might always remember that friendship which they recognized between them. And thus, great Glaucus, were you deceived by Zeus the lightning lord, or perhaps your astonishment and reverence for this friend you found on the field was just so great, that whether your wits were scrambled or whether you just had such great love you exchanged gold armor for bronze, the worth of 100 oxen for but 9. And Diomedes put on that shining, golden, gleaming armor, and Glaucus, you arrayed yourself in haughty bronze, still stained with dust and mud and some blood from the battlefield that was so recently used by that great and terrible sword arm of Diomedes. Thus, on the battlefield, amid the slaughter and the hate, there was, for a space, a great moment of friendship. All right. One of the more interesting episodes of the Iliad, I thought I did a pretty good job with that one. Definitely couldn't remember the lineage of Glaucus. Also couldn't remember his father's name, which I feel like is on the tip of my tongue, but you probably recognize that I was like dodging saying his name of his father because I couldn't remember. And there's a whole family tree that he names, which I couldn't really, I only said enough to, make the connection between Bellerophon and Sarpedon and Glaucus, but I think that's enough. I hope it was Bellerophon. I'm sort of doubting that it might have been a different hero. I think it was, though. Added the thing about the folded tablet, kind of famously the only part in the Iliad where any mention of writing is made, where they call it a folded wax tablet marked with evil signs, is how they describe the concept of writing, and it only happens once. It's actually thought that writing, which didn't exist in Homer's time, of like 700 BC, 700 to 800-ish BC, did not exist in his time, but did exist before that because of the Bronze Age collapse, and basically the world was plunged into a dark age after writing was invented, rudimentary writing, and then it was forgotten, and then they reinvented it after Homer. So like he's writing about a thing that he's only heard about, but that possibly didn't even exist when he lived. Which is why he doesn't just call it writing. So I was glad I got that little moment in and kind of contextualized it. I did like an invocation to the muse about this moment. Again, the Iliad has invocations to the muse at certain points, but that's only because that's how we know the Iliad. I figured that anytime a poet was going to rhapsodize or whatever, tell the story, tell an episode from the story, that he would probably invoke the muse about that part. This is the part I'm going to tell, oh great muse, let me tell it well, or whatever. And I thought it was kind of cool to do just this one scene as a self-contained little moment with its own invocation. The part about the exchange of armor, I had a little moment in there about, in the Iliad, it's kind of just judging Glaucus like, you idiot, why did you trade your armor? It's worth so much more money than Diomedes. But I tried to add a little bit of character motivation about like maybe he just really was, moved by this moment or something. I feel like that's mostly it. I added a bunch of other kind of contextualizing things about making the comparison between the violent battlefield and the peaceful moment inside, adding like kind of a logistical thing about how they were able to have this huge conversation in the middle of the battlefield, like the idea that their men were circling them and kind of like protecting them in a ring. And I liked the imagery that I described it as an oasis of peace within this like super violent, war zone that they were in. So yeah, I don't mean to say that I'm any good at this yet. I'm still very stilted and my details are lacking almost everywhere. But I think that was, at least among the ones I've done, one of my better ones. And I hope to continue getting better and better than this. So let's keep going with it. Again, the thing I'm working on, by the way, is a game project that you can see on my YouTube channel. It's a turn-based RPG based on the Trojan War. And in order to better write like the written content for the game, I'm trying to like teach myself to do this ancient tradition of oral poetry that Homer did in his time, which is to say that you would tell the story off the top of your head, assembling it with formulaic phrasings and stuff. and it's been fun. You know, even not connected to the game project, it's just a very rewarding thing to do. And I think it's an interesting thing that you can feel the thousands of years of history behind it. Trying to tell a story with no intention of having it be written, tell the Iliad rather like this, and just have it be orally transmitted is like pretty interesting. I think I'm having a good time. So let's keep going with it.